President Cyril Ramaphosa has emphasized the importance of tackling the global water crisis and transforming it into an engine for economic growth. Ramaphosa says there's a need to invest in water projects to sustain livelihoods and power economic advancement. The president made these remarks at the African Union Africa Water Investment Program Summit, currently taking place in the Western Cape. For more on this, let's speak to CEO of the Water Research Commission, Dr. Jennifer Molwantwa. A very good afternoon to you, Doc. Thanks very much for your time. I was speaking a little earlier to somebody, but about a different subject. We were talking about yesterday's unemployment statistics, and we spoke a bit about the symbolism that we often engage in, especially when we talk about these big issues that are affecting more so than others, ordinary and poorer people in not only our country, on the continent as a whole. And as I looked at the heads of state, the 6 or 7 heads of state who were standing there this morning, I was wondering whether this wasn't one of those things where we symbolically talk about things when in reality we're not doing as much as we are talking about them.
Afternoon, Rio, and thanks for that. I think that analogy is quite a significant one. What I want to reflect on is to say, look, for a very long time, particularly coming from our sector, being the Water Research Commission, is that, water has always been dealt with on the sidelines. Now, today, having heads of state there and having ministers of water and sanitation from different countries, for me, it gave me some hope in that marching orders were being given to countries and ministers to negotiate, right, around water investment. We have investors here in the house from your development banks, the World Bank is there, our DBSA and others. And for me, this signifies that marching orders have been given and the signal to start negotiating on investment has taken place. We also saw that even in newer ways of investing, like, your different ways have been discussed this afternoon. So I'm hopeful that it's not just a talk show, but it's in reality a platform for action to be taken around investments in water for the African continent towards 2030.
But what, though, about what those heads of state said actually gave you that hope? In other words, went beyond what you already knew on the basis of which you formed that view that water was always dealt with on the sidelines?
Look, the commitment, I think, from the African Union itself, our own state president in his State of the Nation has said that our number one priority is water. The Operation Vulindlela Phase 2 is focused on water, and even work that I am currently mandated to do. There's a lot of work that we are doing around the economics of water, the different special purpose vehicle funding models. So I believe you are at a point where we have realized it cannot be business as usual. So from our own country, I believe we are in that process. There's a lot of work that is happening in that space. But I also felt that the African continent and the East, the Middle East, you could see that there's a lot of partnership and work that is going on around there as well. They're going to be hosting the water conference next year, the UN Water Conference. And Africa is at a point where, we cannot be relying on the world to assist us. We have realized that we are ourselves having to find the solutions ourselves. So, if you are not hopeful, I think also in life, it's going to be a problem. But from the messages that went out, the representation that is here, you have got, I think, the right people. A lot of people are talking, they have got business ideas, they've got funding partners, they've got technologies. So you also found that it's not just one of those conferences where people are just here in numbers, but you have got the right people. There's going to be matchmaking sessions where funders are going to be sitting across the table from those that require funding. I was also quite enthused to see the entrepreneurs in the space of water also here, particularly in our country where we know that a lot of the jobs are going to come from entrepreneurships. And I think that's what gave me the hope, and from what was also delivered this morning.
I mean, for me, it's more about whether the people of the 55 villages in Limpopo that are expecting the Giani water project to give them water will indeed be enthused. It's about those people who are sharing water with animals, whether they will indeed be enthused after these leaders have spoken. It is about people in townships and in urban areas, even in the big affluent cities who have problems of water every day. We're seeing protests every day wherever you go. It is about whether those people, after all what was said today, will indeed find the satisfaction that people like you who have been part of that conversation have found. It's about whether they will have that hope which you say you now have on the back of the speeches that were made today.
In our country, I think we have taken a leap where the president, I think, in the State of the Nation address and as part of Operation Vulindlela, we have said we can no longer have water service provision being undertaken by unlicensed, unprofessional, incompetent agencies when we're looking at the blue-green drop results of most of our municipalities. For me, that says the policy position has changed. Now, to have these competent water service providers, it could be private sector, it could be public sector competent, such as your water boards, but it could be only people that are licensed. Already you are saying consequence management it's taking place. Now we are at the Water Research Commission busy finalizing those licensing conditions. But of course, also the delivery of water is not an overnight process. And yes, 30 years down the line, it's a long time to wait. But I think chances have been provided to local government to provide drinking water to our communities. And there has been pockets of excellence, but there has been generally dismal failure. And I think that is being addressed now. My appeal would be for people to just give it a little bit longer, may not be as enthused today because that tomorrow you still have got to go and fetch your bucket of water. But for me, I see the signs and I believe that we are on the right track. And as I said, I am hopeful and would like to see our communities also in the selection of people that want to lead them. We need to start focusing on excellence, on competency, and just stop having this, the loudest person, gets chosen by the community. We really have to also hold ourselves accountable for those that we put in those positions to make these wrong decisions for us for such a long time.
But you understand why people would be skeptical, because I think it was on Thursday, when the minister in the presidency held a media briefing to talk about the outcomes of the previous two cabinet meetings. And I could see the expression in her face as she was talking about the last tranche of money that was going to go to the Giani water project, because this project has been going on for a very long time, with costs escalating. And hence, I was asking whether, the people of Giani would share your optimism and hope on a day like today.
Look, Vuyo, a lot of the times I think there's also a very big misconception or not understanding. I understand for the poor and destitute and people that have got that don't have the know-how. It's really a set tale that they are living on a daily basis. But for example, as I have said to you, the Department of Water Sanitation is responsible for the big projects that are your dams, right? Your big infrastructure projects, and work has gone into that. Yes, there has been corrupt, riddled projects similar to the one you're alluding to on the Guyani project. And that is something that now the department has started redoing and making sure that they're going to finance. Then we go into the water boards where there's pockets of excellence. You look at our Rand Water, our Umgeni. I mean, Rand Water is one of the biggest in the world, and they're doing a very good job at what they do. Yes, we get frustrated when they say they're maintaining, but they do what they do very well. Then comes the weakest link in this chain, and that is the municipalities that must deliver the water from the dam, from the bulk water supply to our taps. And this is where we have said for the 30 years that we've had that being done as part of business of local government and municipalities should really be over. I mean, monies are not being paid over to the water boards. Communities are not being urged to pay. We don't have proper billing. And therefore, we are saying now is the time in history, I think, that the change is happening. The wheel is turning. And in water infrastructure implementation, that can be a bit slow because it's big projects that take a lot of time. But once you take it out of an incompetent system and you put the right people, the right skills in that system of ring-fenced water service provision, I believe that there will be really delivery into the future for our people.
Well, let's hope, Doc, that the wheel is indeed turning, because it is actually the Department of Water and Sanitation that issued a statement ahead of this summit to say water infrastructure remains underfunded. Then the person who's been watching then asks, but how so, when we've been spending these astronomical amounts of money on something that doesn't get finished or doesn't get to do what it is supposed to do? But yeah, as I say, hopefully the wheel is indeed turning. Let me thank you very much for your time, Dr. Jennifer Molwantwa, who is, of course, the CEO of the Water Research Commission, talking, of course, about that summit that's taking place in the Western Cape, where several heads of state spoke today, which gives her hope that things are about to, if not already, changing.